Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 24th, 2016 meeting of the Rotterdam Town Board. I'd like to just let you know that at approximately 5:30 we entered into the agenda session for the town. At 5:35 we had a motion by Councilmember Christou and a second by Councilmember Milano to make a change to the executive session. We had to add an item besides what it says on the agenda, which is under executive session, possible settlement of notice of proposed assessment of civil penalty, Class 1 docket number CWA-02-2016-3309. We added a employee matter, which is number 22416. And that motion was again made by Councilmember Christou and seconded by Councilmember Milano to add. We had everyone voted in favor of adding. At approximately 5:36 p.m. we entered into executive session with a motion by Councilmember Milano and a second by Councilmember Larmore, all signifying aye. We entered executive session, exited executive session at approximately 6:26 p.m. with a motion by Councilmember Christou and a second by Councilmember Larmore, all voted in favor of exiting executive session. We then entered the agenda meeting portion, if you will, which dealt with the resolutions that you have before you this evening, resolution 66 through 73, the business that we'll be conducting this evening. And did I say the motions already? Motion by Councilmember, and all voted in favor of exiting the executive session at 6:26. At 6:53, motion by Councilmember Christou, second by Councilmember Milano. We exited the agenda meeting itself. All voted in favor. So, Ms. Mark, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Mr. Christou?
Present.
Mr. Lamore?
Present.
Mrs. Samantha Miller Herrera?
Present.
Mr. Villano?
Present.
Mr. Thomason?
Present.
5 present.
Would you all please stand? And Mr. Morrow, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Under Supervisor's report, I just have a couple of items to mention again. I apologize, I had it here a moment ago. Our last meeting, we appointed members to a Town of Rotterdam steering committee regarding our planning for our town. I just wanted you all to know on Monday night, February 29th, the steering committee will be holding its first meeting at 6:30 p.m. here at Town Hall if anyone would like to attend. We also, for those of you who need to apply for certain exemptions, please do so before March 1st. Go down to the assessor's office, call the assessor's office, and please make arrangements to do that. March 1st is the deadline. And that's it right now. If I find there's one other thing I know that I have, but I'll look for it and we'll do that later on under miscellaneous. Ms. Marco, do we have someone for public comment, privilege of the floor?
Ron Batcher?
Good evening. Ron Batcher, 2708 Granville Avenue. A couple things. I think a month or two ago I talked about the disrepair in some of the homes in Rotterdam going down my street. I was just curious if there was anybody looked into that at all?
Yes, it has been looked into. I know for a fact that one of our building inspectors was there, and if you would like me to, I'll have him contact you. Would you like me to do that? Okay. I will have him contact you. I know that he went there. I know that he's working on that property amongst others, but I asked him to look at that one specifically after our meeting, and he did go there.
Okay.
So I'll ask him, Mr. Batcher, and I'll call you.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
The other one I want to talk about a little bit is about, you know, the town waters in different places and all the trouble with the PFOA and things like that. I don't know the extent of how the town of Rotterdam tests their water, and if that's a chemical that has to be specifically tested for. I know GE's been here for a long time, and they had a dump years ago right over the aquifer, which is not really a good thing. But anyway, today on the news, they talked about significant health risk associated with that. And 2 in my immediate family are suffering with 2 of these things, so it's kind of ironic that I heard that today. So I was just curious, what does the town test for? Is that something that has to be specifically tested for?
I know what I was going to say. Well, I know this from the perspective that we do have an annual report, which we file with the DEC, talking about our water quality. As a matter of fact, Clark, do you mind if I pick on you for a minute?
No.
Okay. Clark Collins is sort of retired. He had run the water plant for us for years and years and years. And Clark, if you don't mind just stepping up and putting your name and address in for the record so that those of us who want to come over later can find you. And,
Clark Collins, 2241 Amsterdam Avenue, Schenectady, New York.
can you answer the concern that Mr. Batchelor has as far as what do we test for? How is that conducted?
We test for 52 chemicals in our water system. We do 30 samples a month at various locations. That gives us a general overall view of our distribution system, see if our water is clean and pure. And then we do VOCs, SOCs. Like I said, we collect 4 samples 4 times a year from all our wells, submit it to the state lab. With not the state lab, but can't think of it now. But anyway, and those results are submitted to the state for their review. And we're always in compliance. We've never had any issues with our water now.
So the bottom line is though that it is being tested on a frequent basis.
4 times a year, quarterly. We do 4 rounds.
For that specific chemical?
What was the chemical?
The one that's in the news.
Yeah, well, we collect for every chemical that's regulated by the state, which is 52. We even test for some kind of fertilizer that they only use in Hawaii. I mean, that's how extended it is. I mean, you have nothing to worry about our water supply in Colorado. We did, I wouldn't drink it.
But no, specifically.
I mean,
I'm gonna get
if
to
you
the
write down
specific-
that, I'm sure Ian or Justin can
I will get that for you
find
too.
out for
I'll
you.
make sure that that's, we'll get that annual report, if it's, I think it's still on the website.
It's online.
on the website. It's, so you can see what's on there. I believe that most of those items might be listed there.
Well, what
But I
we
don't
do
know
is
what-
we test for any kind of metals in our water. Basically, that's what we're testing for. Anything that can seep into our aquifer from, say, the GE, and that was a big concern. And that's why we have the aquifer overlay zone and so forth. So, and really, we test for metals. And also, we do a lead and copper study every year to make sure there's no lead or copper leaks in anybody's water system. Sorry, I got cold. Does that help?
Yeah.
It does help, but I'm gonna find out, because I mean.
But if you write down a
let's use that out.
specific one, I mean, I'm sure you can
Well,
get a hold of
it's
Dominic.
in the paper.
I mean,
Yeah, it's in there.
everybody's talking about it. It was just ironic like today, and it's just a coincidence.
But that was really from a Teflon, I believe that there was the substance that it came from up in Bennington and Hoosick, which is a sort of a metal, so I would say that if there was a concern, the Schenectady Health Department would have sent out a notice right away to the town of Rotterdam and to do an immediate water draw from all the wells and send it in for immediate test if they thought there was any concern.
And with that, correct me if I'm wrong again, but when it comes to the different chemicals or processes that companies have used in the past, and whatever they're using today, those are also filed with the DEC. So from time to time, when you may see a company being fined by DEC or EPA, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe in Waterford is where a lot of that testing happens.
Right.
And where they may see heightened levels of different chemicals, because that's where the conversion is of the rivers. And from there, what happens is they just track upriver one way or the other to find out where those are coming from and who uses them. So everything is heavily monitored. But I will get that answer for you, because I want to answer myself. I'm taking into, how should I say this, faith, but more importantly, I know that between the DEC, the EPA, and our own town and our county, that they're watching everything all the time. And so I'm hopeful that obviously will continue to lead us to, not just winning the water tasting contest for our county and the state fair, but more importantly, that our water quality is the most important thing I think that we have in our community. without which I don't know what would happen. We all agree to that. And you'll see some other, I guess I want to say some other things going on over the next 6 months to a year here, addressing a whole number of issues regarding infrastructure. And so, stay tuned.
Okay,
Stay
good.
tuned. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cora.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will, just so you know, I will have either Pat Carroll or geez, I'm blanking out for some reason. I just saw him today, Jim Keith, call you. I believe it was Jim Keith that went down there. Okay, but I'll have Jim. I'll have him call you. So let's move into the agenda here, Resolution 6616.
Appoint and promote Jerry Gutterelli of Rotterdam Junction, New York, 12150, to the position of Water and Sewer Maintenance Supervisor for the Water and Sewer Department, full-time provisional, with full employee benefits at an hourly rate of $22.3552, effective February 29, 2016.
Okay, may we have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Christo. Is there a second, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Councilmember Larmore. On the question?
Mr. Supervisor, I'd just like to put on the record that this is an individual who's already on the town payroll, and we're just simply transferring him to a different department.
Yes, thank you.
Okay?
Yes. Okay, anyone else? Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Christo, a second by Councilmember Larmore. Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomasson?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Resolution 6616 passes. Jerry, do you mind standing up and let everybody see you so that
Thank you.
if you see Jerry on the street, give him some water or something to drink. Okay, Resolution 6716, please.
Appoint and promote Matthew Lupi of Rotterdam, New York, 12306, to the position of Motor Equipment Operator Medium for the Water and Sewer Department, full-time probationer with full employee benefits at an hourly rate of $21.6865, effective February 29, 2016.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Councilmember Christo. Is there a second?
I'll second that one too.
Okay, second by Councilmember Larmore. Anyone on the question?
Same inquiry or statement, Mr. Supervisor. This individual is also on the town's current payroll, and it's simply a transfer to a different department. Is
Yes,
that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Very good.
These positions, when they were posted for both for internal transfers. So we have a motion by Councilmember Christo, a second by Councilmember Lamar. Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomasson?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, Resolution 6716 passes. Matt, would you stand up for us?
Thank you.
You got a big fan in the crowd.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I would just like to say, and I'm probably a little bit out of turn here, but I'd like to say one thing. We have a lot that needs to be done in our sewer plant. More importantly, as you've seen over the last few years, the water breaks around town, and these two gentlemen have been at those with our highway superintendent, Mr. Lamora, amongst other employees of the highway department. What we're trying to do here is get ahead of things that we should have probably been ahead of some time ago. And you'll see a lot of activity over the next couple of years here in assessing what our water infrastructure needs are, more importantly, what the needs are of not just improving, but more importantly, what we have in maintaining our hydrants, our valves, our water lines, the sewer plant itself, which, everything is tied together one way or the other. So I appreciate very much, and I want to commend both Mr. Gutterelli and Mr. Lupi for taking on the positions, because there's a lot of work there. And again, just thank you very much on behalf of the town. I appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Okay, Resolution 6816, I would like to just point out to everyone there was a minor typographical error. So I'm going to read where the typo is. The word confidential should be in before the title investigator on the, in the second sentence. So, motion by Councilmember Christou and a second by Councilmember Larmore, with all voting in favor. We amended the resolution to read as follows. Ms. Marco, would you please read it?
Sure. Amend resolution number 21.16 adopted on January 1st, 2016 for the appointment of Edward Schultz Jr. to court assistant to reflect the proper title of confidential investigator pursuant to the Civil Service Commission's assignment of title.
Okay, thank you. Okay, may I have a motion for resolution 6816?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Larmore. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Miller Herrera. Anyone on the question? Okay, Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Sure. Mr. Christou?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomasson?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, resolution 6816 passes. Resolution 6916?
Appoint Pete Karankowicz of Rotterdam, New York, 12303, as a member of the Town of Rotterdam Board of Assessment Review to fill the term of Richard Kranick, commencing February 24th, 2016 through September 30th, 2019.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Christou. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Miller Herrera. On the question? Okay, hearing none, Ms. Marco, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Christou?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomasson?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, resolution 6916 passes. The importance of filling this position is very simply because we'll be entering the Board of Assessment review season, if you will, people filing grievances in May, and we need to have a full board. More importantly, Mr. Karankowicz brings commercial and residential, but more commercial experience in real estate, and it's some experience that we need for the board. And there's training involved as well over the next couple of months that he'll have to be involved in order for him to also be a member of that board. So it's important we get this done this evening. Thank you very much. So resolution 6916 passes. Thank you. Resolution 7016?
Appoint and reappoint various individuals to the Town of Rotterdam Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee commencing February 24th, 2016 through December 31st, 2018.
Okay. Have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Councilmember Miller Herrera. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Christou. Anyone on the question? Okay, on the question, I would just like to thank Rosalind Warlick, who is here this evening. She's sitting in the back. Rosalind, you can give a little wave. She's been on the Parks Committee for quite a while. I don't think Paul Cook is here. Mr. Adams, you know. But there'll be, again, looking forward to some work that needs to be done in the parks as well over this year, next year. I know that there is a project that's ongoing right now at Carmen. There's a couple of other projects ongoing in a couple of the other parks. The weather's been decent, but not decent enough for us to get a little bit more of a head start. But you'll see more activity there as well, and it's their work of making recommendations and looking over what we have in the town, what our needs are. And their recommendations will also fold in along with the steering committee and some of the other activities that we'll be having here with our comprehensive planning and going forward. So we have a motion by Councilmember Miller Herrera and a second by Councilmember Christou. Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Christou?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomasson?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Ross.
Thank you.
Okay, resolution 7116.
Accept town clerk's report for the month of January 2016.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Councilmember Miller Herrera. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Larmore. I'm sorry, Valano. My apologies, sir. On the question, anyone? Okay, hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Christou?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomasson?
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, resolution 7116 passes. Resolution 7216.
Authorize budget transfers by the town controller to various accounts for 2015.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Councilmember Christou. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Miller Herrera. On the question? Okay, hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Christou?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thomasson?
Yes.
5 yes.
Thank you. Okay, resolution 7216 passes. Resolution 7316.
Authorize budget transfers by the town controller to various accounts for 2016.
Okay, may I have a motion, please?
I'll move.
Motion by Councilmember Christou. Is there a second, please?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Miller Herrera. On the question? Hearing none, Ms. Marco, please call the roll.
Mr. Christo?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Herrera?
Yes.
Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes. Thank you.
I don't think I got to say
Oh.
yes.
I think I took your vote. I voted for it.
That's okay, we voted the same way, so it's acceptable.
Did you say yes?
Having something.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, so
yes.
resolution 7316 passes all affirmative. Thank you very much. Okay, anyone have committee reports this evening?
No.
Anyone? Anything under miscellaneous?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mr. Supervisor, the town of Rotterdam has an ethics board that consists of 5 individuals. We currently have 1 individual who is termed out. She's no longer able to seek reappointment. We have 2 individuals who have recently resigned. We currently have 2 people sitting on that board, a Mike DeSantis and a Ryan Moran. Ryan is a conservative, Mike is a Republican. Based on the way that the law is crafted, there can't be more than 2 people of each party. One of the appointments should be a Republican appointment to fill one of the 3 vacancies. The situation we have right now is if an ethical situation did arise in the town of Rotterdam, there's not even a quorum of individuals on that particular board in order to act on anything that could come up. In January, I submitted the name with the blessing and co-backing of Councilman Lamore for Ryan DeBrino. I've provided a letter of intent, a resume. You know, we're certainly interested to get this person appointed, especially considering, and I haven't seen any of the Democratic appointee. I know that you were working on that list, but I think we're getting to the point where it's becoming urgent that we do fill the vacancies because there's no longer a quorum.
Okay, well, my understanding, and you and I did not unfortunately take the time to even talk about this earlier.
We ran out of time.
We did, because that was something I wanted to bring up with you this evening during the agenda meeting. But I believe that the member that you're referring to that's termed out is only termed out as serving as chair. And I'll stand corrected on that, but that's my understanding. Having said that, what I would like to see, and I'll just tell you what my personal position is, and I'll just make the plea, if you will, to folks in the town. I would like to see us put 2 members, 3 members, whatever the number is that we need, which I think is only 2 at this point, on the board that have not served in a political capacity, have not run for office before. And don't misunderstand me when I say this. It's not to say that either Mr. DeBrino or others would not do an inadequate job on that board. I also think that it just lends itself to people questioning decisions that are made by that board. And so I would much rather, if we put it out, in which I think we'll do now, maybe we put an ad in the paper, frankly. I don't know what we should do here. To ask the residents, we've got upwards of 29,000 people living in the town, about 19,000 of which are voting age or so, maybe more than that now. And I would rather have us just get some resumes and letters of interest from other people and honestly not rely upon, and I mean this sincerely to you, and respectfully, not rely on the political parties to decide who it is that serves on our ethics board.
You know, unfortunately, that's how appointments in government work. Everybody who is appointed to various committees are in some capacity tied to the political parties themselves, such as, since you brought it up, the individuals that we appointed to the Parks Committee tonight, one of them is a former chair of the Democratic Party, Paul Cook, and Rosalind Warlick, I believe, is...
Paul's never been, I think his brother.
His brother has?
Yeah.
And Rosalind Warlick is the secretary of the Democratic Party?
But I think there's a big difference between the Parks Committee and the Ethics Committee.
Well, if we looked at most appointments, though, they're coming from political appointments. I mean, that's what they are.
I honestly do not know what Mr., I mean, if we want to go down the road here, I honestly do not know what for example, Mr. Kronkovich's enrollment is. I have no idea.
I believe he's a conservative.
Yeah, so I mean, I did not know that, and I don't, so it's not something that, I think if you see me here and if you know my past track record, the political part doesn't matter. What matters to me is whether somebody can do the job effectively. So I want to be, I want us to be respectful here and just know that I think we need to put the word out to the public that we need a couple of members for the ethics board. Let's see if we get letters of interest over the next week, so that at our next meeting, maybe we have a couple of people we can act upon together.
As
Is that fair?
it's been done in the past, though, right? The Republicans have been allowed, when it came up last year, to appoint one individual. Will we be able, if you find Mr. DeBrino, because he's ran against sitting members on this board, to be an unacceptable choice, will me and Mr. Lamore be able to select an individual, or at least offer, let's say, 3 alternatives of people who have not run for political office?
I think we should be able to offer, the 5 of us should be able to offer some alternatives to each other and see where we agree. But one of the stipulations within the additional qualifications for the ethics board is this, and my perspective is it's an additional qualification, but for me personally, it doesn't really go far enough, and that's what I'm getting at. It says, no ethics board member shall be a party officer in any political party is defined by election law, section 1-104, subsection 5, or be employed or act as a registered lobbyist pursuant to Article 1A of the legislative law, or hold a local, state, or federal elected office. So I understand what you're saying, and I respectfully, hear you, but I do believe that we need to look outside and ensure that not just for ourselves, but for the town employees, but more importantly, the voting public and those paying taxes in our community, that we have an ethics board that's beyond reproach of any kind politically. And so, having said that, I would, look for us to potentially put a literally an ad in the paper or something. We're going to have to do something a little more public to get some folks to come forward.
I have one suggestion as far as that goes.
Mm-hmm.
You said you don't want to have any political affiliations and everything. Why don't we make it that it can only be somebody that's a blank? They have no parties.
I don't mean, when I say that to you, their political affiliation, whatever they're enrolled as, I know that within the law, there's a requirement there, not more than 2. So I get that part. My issue is very simply that I really don't, means blanks are, when you say blanks, people enrolled in no party, fine, independents, conservative, Democrat, Republican, it just doesn't matter. I would just like to have 5 people on that board that each of us can depend upon to look very, very openly and with, how should I say this, with no predetermined grain of what it is they're looking for in making a determination should something come to them that they have to act upon. That's an ethics complaint.
Okay, I understand that. One other thing, though, that this brings up another point that about as far as when we have people in positions, like say we have people as heads of departments who are also on boards of parties, we should create some kind of law within our town that that's not available to them, because otherwise they're making determinations, they're determining who's on the board, who's going to be their bosses. So that's kind of a conflict of interest. There's different positions, different people and different heads of departments here that are on boards of parties within our community. I'm talking about political parties.
I understand what you're saying, and at the same time, I'll say this. Having served on this board in the past, the one thing that I would just say very openly is when I had been a party member of a party, once I was elected, I worked very hard to get out of the party side of things, if you will, to be off those parties. Now, having said that, that was my own personal decision. I don't know how we can necessarily legislate that, but I think that would be very difficult for us to do. That would be impossible maybe for us to do, because we'd be violating people's, in my opinion, I'm not an attorney, not the attorney on this board, there's 3 other ones here, that there is, be violating First Amendment rights, I would think.
You can't prevent them from being a committee person, but
Yeah, committee person, but I'm talking about board.
Yeah, but you can make it a requirement that they no longer sit on an executive board of a political party. That has been done.
We'll have to Well, let's look at that as well.
It's
And
conflict of
Maybe take a
interest
recommendation.
otherwise.
Let's maybe take a recommendation from a newly seated ethics board on what we should do and try to work that into our code in some way, I guess, I don't know.
Mr. Supervisor, I
Yes.
just want to say I think it's a wonderful idea to take resumes and letters of interest from the members of our community. One of the things I found in speaking to members, to residents, is that they feel they're not included in the process, there's not transparency. It's a wonderful opportunity for people to come out, send in their information, and talk to us about what they can offer the town. I think ethics is a major issue at the state level, and I think we can be above board on all things ethics by bringing people in to this that are not regularly involved, but who have a fresh and thoughtful perspective. So I appreciate moving forward in this way.
Thank you.
One more thing, Mr.
Yes.
Supervisor. I hate being the individual that shows up at town board meetings, right? The doomsayer that stands on a street corner with a sign that says the end is near. You know, particularly after there was a recent article which ended up laying out the contents of the letter that we received from the Office of State Controller saying that it's been over 5 years since our office last conducted an audit of the town, and although that they were already considering conducting an audit sometime later this year, they're not affirmatively deciding whether or not that'll end up taking place. You know, I hate to be the doomsayer, and, you know, especially considering I'm the one that was asking for the audit, but when it's raining frogs, you have to pay attention. So what have I learned by reading our crosstown newspaper, the Times-Union? There's been several articles in the Times-Union talking about a controller's audit that just came down on the city of Troy. The city of Troy is doing exactly what the town of Rotterdam is doing with its water and sewer funds. The city of Troy has been threatened to lose fiscal control and to have the checkbook taken away and given to the state of New York. I do not want to find the town of Rotterdam in that situation. The mayor is already on his hands and knees over in Troy, trying to get control of the situation and plead off the state. I've provided you copies of the articles. I've also provided you a copy of the audit report on the city of Troy. But in short, tell me if some of this sounds familiar. From the Times-Union editorial board on January 18th. After 2 decades of bad fiscal decisions and sloppy budget policies, the city of Troy is again on the brink of bankruptcy. According to the draft state audit, more bad decisions were made in recent years by politicians who wanted to shield taxpayers from hefty property tax increases and didn't take the necessary steps to balance budgets. The city routinely drained its reserves and improperly tapped $6.4 million in its water fund to close its $8.4 million deficits in its general fund. That's exactly what we're doing. It's deja vu deficits for Troy.
That is not exactly what we're doing, and it's not exactly what you presented to the comptroller's office.
What we were doing now.
That is exactly what we're doing. We are draining off our water funds and transferring them back to the general fund to pay for payroll, ultimately to offset payroll in other departments and to provide for monies not related to water and sewer. Troy's finances are in a precarious position, says the Napoli audit. The state blasts Troy for its budget practices. Troy nearing state takeover of its finances. And these are the things that the actual report says. The financial condition of the city of Troy's general and water funds have declined over the last 3 years. So have ours. The council's adopted budgets for the general fund that were not structurally balanced. So are ours. But instead, the council routinely relied on appropriating significant amounts of reserves to finance our operations. So are ours. C. In recent years, budget review letters to the city from the Office of the State Controller have disclosed inadequately funded contingency appropriations, lack of adequate funding for capital costs, and declining financial trends in general water and sewer funds.
which we do not have, which we have not had.
Our,
Is that correct?
our water funds have fallen by millions of dollars since I've been sitting here. Is that true?
I do not know if they've fallen by millions of dollars. I do know one thing. What you submitted to the audit, to the Office of State Comptroller,
Yep.
delineated positions within the town and the costs associated with, the allocation of costs associated with those positions. So as an example, without using specific numbers, but if you take a position like I hate to pick on the town attorney because she's sitting right here, but I will. The town attorney's position is allocated some 80-some%, if I recollect, to general fund. The other remaining is allocated through the other funds, water and sewer funds. Now, I think it would be, and the highway fund thing, I think it would be adequate to say that she touches everything that happens in the town, one way or the other. So her salary should be allocated in that manner. Because as an example, if I happen to live out in the westernmost part of town and I have no sewer, I have no town water, I'm on a well, why should I be expending excess general fund dollars for work that she may be doing on highway, water, or sewer?
I totally
Okay,
agree.
so we're in agreement on it. Now, that's what I see and what I saw in your, let me just finish, what I saw in your submission to the State Comptroller's Office. On top of that, you're using the City of Troy's audit here to cast really a negative cloud, on the town of Rotterdam. I do not see this same, frankly, this same dark cloud here. I do not see this. So we, as I said earlier in our agenda meeting, we are closing out our year for 2015. We are going to be having a work session probably after one of our town board meetings. We have hopefully one light agenda next month, that we can then all remain here, sit in the back over there, and have residents who want to stay for that meeting. And we will go through where our debt service is, where our spending is. We will go through and plan for the needed improvements to the sewer plant and maintenance of the sewer plant, I should say. It's really not improvements, it's maintenance. The equipment that we need to purchase for the highway department, equipment we may need to purchase for the water and sewer department. Looking at also security needs that we have that go a little bit, it has nothing to do with cameras on streets, but it has to do with security of our buildings, security of our systems. There are just a whole host of things that frankly we need to get ahead of in the town. Now, having said that, in our analysis, if there are things that we understand have been done inappropriately or wrongly, we will correct them. And we will find a way to correct them. You have my commitment there. But I cannot sit here and just continually be silent to what you're saying, every other meeting at least, and saying that as if the sky is falling here in Rotterdam. I do not see it. And again, I do not understand how you can take the lead of looking at specific positions and seeing how their costs are allocated across funds and saying that we're taking millions of dollars from one fund to allocate across the board in the general fund. That is not accurate.
But
that is false.
It has
But-
happened.
In order
It's
to.
false. That's false.
In order to do that, Mr. Supervisor, okay, now you've said that about 20% of the town attorney's time, okay, is utilized for water,
Yeah, 14,
sewer,
whatever it
and
is,
highway. Whatever it may be, right? What you have to do at the beginning of the year, you are allowed to use estimates the first year. And at the end of the year, you have to go back and return to those funds after you count hours. Time cards have never been done. That's the problem with the position. If you have, and every year you have to continue to do that, and then you can use last year's numbers. It has not been done.
Okay, if it has not been done, let me say this. Since I arrived here on January 1st, what have you and Mr. Larmore done to ensure a system was put in place?
I've asked,
I'm just saying that. So all I'm
you are
trying
the
to say to
fiscal
you-
officer of the town.
Yes, I am, but you are also a responsible member of this town board, and I appreciate that you are bringing up things that you feel are important. But at the same time, I think to have a political discussion, which is really sometimes what we have here, unfortunately, rather than a substantive discussion about where we have to move forward here with the town, that I think that you're leading people down the wrong path on this particular issue, frankly. I really do.
Well, these are
And
issues
and
that,
if you can show me something outside of how we're allocating a particular person's salary appropriately, in my view, because if it was the other way around, where, and again, regardless of what position we're talking about, where we knew that someone's salary, that 80% of their salary was not general fund, that there was 25% water, 25% sewer, 25% highway, whatever, and that those hours were not properly allocated, then we should correct that. I don't see that. In the submissions that you made, I do not see that. Having been here before, I understand how these positions operate. I just don't see that kind of disparity. And the comptroller's office has given us guidance repeatedly. Our comptroller staff calls the comptroller's office repeatedly when they're looking into different issues. We do not have any prior audit that pointed out that we were doing it wrong, and we've been doing it, and I hate to say it, but basically, for the most part, the same way. When I say she, our current town comptroller carried forward a process and a system that was in place before she took that role.
We were not doing this before she took that role. This ended up starting, this started the budget between the Delgado
2011.
and, yeah, it was the Matt Martin budget override that started the system.
Well, the bottom line is, like you're saying, there's not things going on. Well, here's what happened. On a few different occasions that I know of, there was transfers done from departments that, according to the rules of the town association, everything, those departments work for everyone, every department, so you cannot transfer money out of to their department because they did work in other departments. That happened on a couple, 2 or 3 occasions that I know of, and you can't do that. That's just one of the small things. That kind of stuff has been going on for years now.
The state does not allow any transfers into the receiver of taxes or the town clerk's offices at all, under any circumstances.
And the supervisor's office.
And the supervisor's office. And we're doing that.
All right. I think that we've expended time on this long enough, at least for my comments. I'm going to cease. Anyone else under miscellaneous? I would just like to mention again, for those of you that may have tuned in late watching this on public access, understand that, or please be aware that March 1st is the filing deadline for exemption renewals, so please visit the assessor's office. His direct number, his name is Brad Canning, but their office number is 355-7575, extension 396 is his extension. But when you go through the, if you call 355-7575 and just go through the automated line there, you'll be able to reach his office if he is not available. And you just use his extension, just go ahead and go through this system, you'll find this. If all else fails, just call the supervisor's office, and there you just push the phone number 355-7575, press 1, and then press 9, and you'll get to my office, and we'll have someone call you back. Secondly, several residents that I've run into over the past couple of weeks received, I mean, I got it too, but I didn't do anything with it. A company called American Water Resources of New York, they send out this enrollment form, which is some kind of water line insurance of some kind. This has nothing to do with the town. It doesn't have anything to do with the state of New York. This is an independent company. Yeah, and so know that if you have any questions, if you ever receive anything in the mail that, you know, whether they have the Better Business Bureau accredited business logo on there or not, you're not sure what it is, you know, feel free to call our offices here, and we can maybe answer the question for you. If not, we can get you in touch with the right people to answer those questions for you. But basically, it is an enrollment form. They charge an annual fee here. It says of $65 and change, which is supposed to buy insurance to fix your water line from your property line to your house. And if you've ever had that problem, probably has. I don't know if this insurance will cover it, but it's something to look into, I guess, for yourself. But we're not out there actively endorsing anything like this or require it for any reason. Okay, if no one else has any other business, I would ask for a motion for adjournment, please.
Mr. Supervisor, I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Christie, is there a second?
I will second it.
Okay, second by Councilmember Larmore. Would you please call the roll, just for the sake of work? You want me to help you?
Mr. Cristal?
Yes.
Mr. Lamore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes. Okay, thank you very much, all of you, for attending this evening. Appreciate you being here. Meeting is adjourned.